Fascist, racist, snake oil salesman. No, I'm not quoting from a Lucasfilm HR seminar, though honestly, it's getting harder to tell. These are the words Leslye Headland is now using to describe you, the Star Wars fans who dared to dislike her $230 million space witch fan fiction known as The Acolyte. Because nothing screams, I'm a confident creator, like disappearing after your show crashes and then returning months later to blame literally everyone except the person responsible for it. Let's roll the intro. What's up, everyone? This is the Critical Nerd, and welcome back to another episode of Hollywood Creators Can't Take Responsibility for Anything. If you're new here, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and join the rebellion. And if you're a returning subscriber, well, welcome back, you beautiful legends out there. Today's topic, Leslye Headland. Yes, the former personal assistant to Harvey Weinstein. And no, we are absolutely going to keep mentioning that. Well, she's finally spoken publicly since Disney marched the Acolyte behind the woodshed. And she did exactly what everybody predicted she would do. Blame the fans, blame YouTubers, accuse critics of racism and fascism, and refused all responsibility. So let's break it down. According to the folks over at thatparkplace.com, geeksandgamers.com, Cosmic Book News, World of Real, and multiple other sources, Leslye Headland delivered the greatest hits of the modern Hollywood deflection playlist. The Acolyte was always a risk. People reacted out of sexism and racism. Fans judged it unfairly. And commentary channels, some of which I supported, are fascists and racists. Now, I'm going to be fair to Leslye for just a second here, and I promise this will be really quick and brief. She starts by acknowledging that the Acolyte was always a major risk. She points out that unlike other Disney Star Wars shows, she couldn't use stormtroopers, couldn't lean on the Empire versus Rebels dynamic, didn't have any familiar cinematic touchstones, and lacked all the visual language Tony Gilroy brilliantly exploited in Andor. So, a couple of things here, okay? Congratulations on recognizing Andor as brilliant. Probably the smartest thing said in the entire interview. Second, you're basically admitted you made a Star Wars show without any of the things that make Star Wars Star Wars. I mean, stormtroopers, Empire versus the Rebellion, just saying. I mean, this is like making a pizza without cheese, sauce, or dough, and then being shocked when Pizza Hut doesn't hand you a franchise. She even says, and I quote, "Any gripes creatively with the show are completely valid." Sounds reasonable, right? Well, wrong. Because she immediately follows that up by saying people's negative reactions are just their reaction to their own reaction. Let me translate that for you here real quick. Sure, you can have problems with my show, but those problems aren't actually with my show. They're with you and your inability to appreciate my genius. So, I want to say this to Leslye. Leslye, okay, if you are really watching the Star Wars commentary ecosystem like you claim, how do you still deliver The Acolyte, a show written like someone fed the High Republic, Tumblr fanfic, and an HR diversity training manual into a blender? Just saying. But here's where it gets really spicy. It's the YouTube attack. Yeah. Headland claims she wasn't online during the show's release, which I absolutely do not believe for a single second. But then immediately tells us she's been part of the YouTube Star Wars community since its inception. She even says she supported some of those creators on Patreon. She literally said, quote here, "These guys I've known for years and years, I supported them on Patreon." Which is really wild because, I mean, what she's saying here is, hey guys, I've been financially supporting your channels for years, but now that you dared to criticize my terrible show, let me tell you what you really are. And then comes her big breakdown. Some critics I respect, some are snake oil salesmen, opportunists, and then, of course, there are the fascists and the racists. Oh, there it is. The holy trinity of Hollywood deflection. Fascists, racists, snake oil salesmen. When all else fails, throw out those scary labels. She says it runs a gamut, like she's trying to sound reasonable. But let's break down what she actually means. If you dislike the Acolyte, you are part of the tiny minority she respects, or a grifter chasing outrage clicks, or a literal fascist or racist. So for those of you keeping score out there, you watched The Acolyte, you saw bad writing, bad acting, broken lore, you said so online, and according to Leslye, you're either a grifter or a fascist. Because obviously, the only reason someone wouldn't enjoy watching two characters played by the same actress have a lightsaber duel is because they hate minorities. It couldn't possibly be because the writing was terrible and the show cost more than the GDP of a small country. Yeah, just saying. Then we get to the truly legendary part. This was always about DEI and toxic fans defense. Because according to her and the team, and I quote, "It was my responsibility to expose the toxic fandom opposed to DEI and the LGBTQ community. We always knew we'd be dealing with toxic men frightened of powerful female roles in Star Wars." Powerful female roles. Oh, you mean like Leia, Padme, Ahsoka, Jyn Erso? Characters who've been beloved for decades? Star Wars has had iconic women for 40 plus years. The Acolyte wasn't rejected because it had women. It was rejected because it treated the lore like a Build-A-Bear workshop and wrote Jedi like they graduated from the Hogwarts School of Terrible Decision-Making. And when even casual viewers tuned out, Leslye sprinted to the usual excuses. It was review bombing. It was fake criticism. There's a silent majority who loved it. Silent majority? The only silent thing about The Acolyte was the viewership. The show fell off the Nielsen charts after episode 3. That's not toxic fandom. That's the entire audience saying, no thanks. So here's one of my favorite quotes of this interview. "I was surprised at the swiftness and the publicness of it." Translation: "I can't believe Disney didn't pretend to keep this alive for 6 years like Rian Johnson's trilogy." Normally, Lucasfilm cancels things quietly. They just let them rot off screen while pretending they're still in development. But this time, it was a little different. Disney publicly walked into the room, unplugged the Acolyte's live support, tossed the plug on the ground, and walked out without looking back. And why, you might ask? Because the show cost $230 million. That's $50 million more than Dune 2. Let's let that sink in for a second. Denis Villeneuve made a cinematic masterpiece for less than what Leslye Headland spent making 8 episodes that collapsed harder than a wet cardboard AT-AT. She even admits, "Once I started getting calls about viewership and criticism, the writing was on the wall." Yeah, when your finale is pulling numbers lower than forgotten CW reboots, the executives don't schedule a meeting. They throw your show into the Sarlacc pit and move on. And now, the quote of the century. Yeah, the quote of the century. "The content being made about Star Wars will be more culturally impactful than actual Star Wars." So, let me get this straight. You call people fascist, racist, opportunist, snake oil salesman. Those same people are also more culturally relevant than the show? Even your show? She's talking about us. Channels like mine, Nerdrotic, Critical Drinker, RK Outpost, fans, commenters. She's saying we're more relevant than the shows themselves. And the thing is, she's right. She's absolutely right. But here's the kicker. Who made that happen? Was it us? Or was it Disney, Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, Leslye Headland, who delivered years of subpar content, broken lore, and audience contempt? The only reason commentary channels are thriving is because creators like her have failed so consistently that audiences would rather watch us dissect the wreckage than watch the wreckage itself. So congratulations, Leslye. You're right. We are more culturally impactful, but that's not a flex. It's an indictment. So what have we learned from all this? The Disney Star Wars creators would rather shave a Wookiee with a lightsaber than admit they made something bad. That when a show fails, it's always your fault, my fault, the toxic fandom's fault, the algorithm's fault, review bombers, a silent majority that mysteriously forgot to show up. Now, Leslye Headland, she had a chance to take responsibility. She could have said, I swung for the fences and missed. I'll learn from this. I'll do better. But no, instead, she doubled down, blamed the fans, blamed the critics, blamed racism, blamed fascism, and blamed everything except for the Acolyte. And meanwhile, real Star Wars fans, the George Lucas Star Wars, will outlive every one of these embarrassing experiments. Leslye, if fans hated your show, it wasn't because they're fascists. It's because you made the Acolyte. If you enjoyed this breakdown of Leslye, it's the fans' fault Headland, drop a like, smash subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss the next episode of Hollywood Refusing to Learn Anything. Share this video with the silent majority, if they actually exist. And what do you guys think? Are you fascist, racist, snake oil salesman for not liking the Acolyte? Or did you just expect basic quality from a $230 million show? Let me know in the comments below. This is the Critical Nerd signing out. And stay critical, nerds.